All right, anyways.
So when we do introductions, Richard will go first, then Ryan. And Richard, you'll go after Jeremy.
Yeah, where you belong.
We were having this pretty good conversation until Ryan got on the call. He's just like, Rose is an armor skew. Whatever, Ryan.
Oh my god.
Hello, welcome to L2 Wargame, the audio podcast. This is Brandon.
This is Max, Age of Egos on the forums.
This is Jeremy, and we're no longer just an audio podcast.
Nice. Yeah.
And this is Richard, and I am here.
And this is Ryan. I don't have a forum name.
Ryan, you should get a forum name. Do you ever go to DACA?
I should be a mod somewhere.
All right, today we're talking about WTC style team tournaments. There is one coming up in the Midwest called Kill and Grill. It's going to be in July this year in Springfield, Missouri. So we are going to talk about kind of the concepts of what you would like to have on a 5-man team. Obviously, starting, you would want to have people playing what they're good at. You don't want to just get 5 people like, let's make this group of 5 armies because we think that's strong, and like none of you know what you're doing. Like that's probably not a good idea. So
Unless it's trolls, all 5 trolls.
Right. So I guess one way we could look at it is get whatever we perceive to be the 5 strongest armies at the moment, which would clearly just be 5 circle lists with playing Bradigus. Like that would be the best. So
You can't duplicate casters.
I know. I was just kidding. And if you don't know, you can only have each caster.
Kruger's.
This is about learning to wargame, Brandon, and you're telling fibs to people.
That's true. Well, clearly it would just be 10 lists with double colossal. Right, Ryan?
Yes, that'd be fun. That would be extremely fun.
I mean, we wouldn't ever death clock.
That's true. Okay, so I've done out 7 different pairs here that I think are fairly decent. I almost always reach for a Crix list because it beats a lot of the like Bradigus armor skews. Double Colossal. It can. You have to build it right.
Yeah.
Double Colossal. It can do well against other troop spams if you build it right. Like the Lich 2 list can do pretty well against like Kador or other Crix players. Denny 2 as well. So Crix I feel is very strong.
Can lose to Haley 1 every time.
Can lose to Haley 1 a lot. But that's up to your team to make sure you don't get that bad matchup. Legion I always feels nice because they cover a lot of different types of matchups, and I always feel like Legion's interesting because they get beat by very specific things because they always play so many heavies that they don't lose to control or guns very often necessarily. It's you specifically have to be able to break the armor and do it at a distance because they like to back off. Circle's I already said Circle. No, I didn't. Circle's pretty strong right now. Kruger 2, Morvana 2, Bradigus are all 3 really strong. Any combination of those is good. And there's other good casters in this faction as well. Signar's a nice control faction. Lots of guns, can pick off the Crix and other things like that. Troll's really strong right now because they've got the armor skews like Runes of War and Meat Mountain. Mercenary's really strong because of their Colossals. Obviously, Earthbreaker has been pretty popular lately. Factions, I think, are specifically good, or better at least, in the team environment as opposed to the single environment, are things like Convergence Osiris, Retribution, Menoth, Kador. All of those I feel like are better when you can kind of hedge their bets against what they're going to play against. So, if anyone hasn't heard of the WTC style event before, basically multiple teams will come together, they'll get matched up. Each team will have 5 players. Each player will have 2 lists. Then when you get matched up, the team captains will roll off to see basically who gets to go first or second in starting a matchup system. One of the teams that wins will decide to either go first or second. The team going first places one of their 5 players basically on the chopping block. And the enemy team decides 2 of their lists, or players that have 2 lists each, to place opposing him. And then that player can decide against which of those 2 players he wants to play against. And then they go and do their own match where they each do standard list selection from that on. And then the player who was not picked, so Team A put up 1 player, Team B put up 2 players. The player that was not selected stays on the table, is now on the chopping block, and then the original team will now put 2 players against him, and he'll take his selection. The team, and you'll continue doing that until all the players have been assigned. Then the team who did not get to place their player up first will get to select the tables for those 5 games of the 5 tables available to them. So they'll say that like Jim and Bob are playing here, and Mike and Andy are playing over here, and Chris and Jim are playing over there, like whatever you want to do.
So they get to decide all the tables.
Right. So that makes, like, for instance, Legion players really important. Like if you have two Legion players on your team, you probably want to pick the tables because they have such an advantage on heavy terrain tables.
Because the team that gets to go first picks the last 2 matchups.
Right. Because the way it works up is each team has 2 players left. One of them's on the block. Whichever one they select is going to leave the other guy to fight your last guy. So whatever you decide is going to determine the next matchup as well. So do you guys have anything else to chime in on like what you think builds a good team, like a specific composition? Do you think you should have a good spread, or you should try and skew and like take a lot of one style of army?
You can.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is most important, having the ability to pick who you play against, or like what would you rather see? Do you want to pick the tables at the end, or do you want to pick the fights?
You know, it really depends, because you're going to be able to see what the tables look like going in.
Yeah.
Depending on the terrain can be way more powerful, in my opinion, than picking the matchup specifically, because you're going to get somewhat of a matchup you're hoping for, probably.
Mm-hmm. Or you're the guy that gets
or something that's 50-50. And so if you're looking
look at the other team's list,
yes,
first,
everything's open information.
So, if you know that you're basically going to get into mostly 50-50 matchups, you may get one where you get in a slightly disfavorable matchup. Terrain can really push it either back into 50-50 or into your favor. And I kind of think terrain's more powerful more often than not, but we'll see how terrain setup is, because after that, if it's not, if we get a whole bunch of, well, this side's mirrored to the other side,
Right.
Stuff like that, then going first is better.
Clearly.
So what do you think, when you go to make that decision, are you going to be generally picking by faction what would be best per scenario, or are you going to go even deeper per caster and player? Basically, like, what are you looking at doing, 2 months away from the event at this point?
Well, what we're looking at right now, I've been talking with Ryan a little bit lately, and to kind of go back on the last topic, I think if you're trying to decide beforehand if you're going to go first or second, it depends on your team comp. If you know a lot of your players have tried to answer terrain in their list, like taking Saxon or Rupert, or just playing Legion or Circle, that can play a lot into if you think you're going to need to pick the tables or not. But at the same time, you can, I think, build strategies into your team composition. So, like, for the longest time, Trolls has been like, I don't want to play Crix, but I'm good against everything else. Like, they've had that kind of mindset. I don't know if that's correct, but just, for example, let's say it is. Right. That's absolutely, they beat 90% of the time, they win against everything but Crix. Well, if we go against any team that does not have 2 Crix players, we just drop him first. And they're guaranteed to throw their Crix player and something else at our Troll player, and he picks the not Crix matchup. So that leaves their Crix player on the board. Well, now we go, well, I have Signar and, like,
X other factions go against
Retribution,
Crix.
like, tier list that beats Crix. Like, we drop 2 anti-Crix players, and he's screwed. So we can intentionally build that into our list pair. So we can say, like, we're going to have Trolls Ultra Armor skew, Runes of War, and that's just going to go first every single time. And then, when they drop their Khador Crix pair, he'll take the Khador list if he can, or if not, maybe he'll take the Crix, and that'll still leave an infantry horde most likely on the board, and then we drop our mulch list after that. And the next turn, they have to basically have 2 armor skews to drop against us to make that infantry skew sad. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's if you get first pick, but what if you have to pick the 2?
So if we go second, then they've put down, let's say, a Signar player. Your options basically be you have to drop either 2 things bad for Signar, or I have to look ahead to what's going to happen. And that's why I've made these predetermined like team rosters, so we can say we can actually try and plan out a full draft. So right now, let's just talk about generic like team compositions, and then we can get into the actual specifically order of drafting and plans for that in a minute. Do you think it's worth it to actually go like a full skew amongst your team? Like everyone's going armor skew. Everyone's going to have an armor skew
I
list.
think that's a way to get yourself into 3 good matchups, but you should better win those 3 games because you probably got into 2 bad matchups.
Right.
So I think it's definitely a viable strategy, but it just depends on how you want to play. I don't necessarily think if you build having a balanced team roster, basically, I think you have a better chance of getting more favorable matchups than not. Which I guess, if you're getting 3 favorable every round, that's pretty good, but you may or may not.
I feel like if you build all balanced forces across the board, you have a more likely scenario that you picking the matchups isn't a big deal to you. I don't know.
You could also do like a
Probably true.
like a poker kind of approach where you're bluffing and you're putting something that looks, I don't know if the poker analogy is very good, but you're basically going, hey, look at this really scary thing and focus on this over here. Mm-hmm. And while they're looking to deal with, crazy high whatever, you're secretly or not so, vocally just going to steam, just roll over them, with your other 4 list, if that makes sense. So make them get nervous and maybe pick a bad matchup, with 2 of their players, and then you can come in and, counter that. Does that make sense?
So basically have 2 really skewed lists in your pairs, and then...
Yeah, and make them deal with that. And then you have the ability, maybe put your crazy skew list on your weaker players, so that
right, that
you might
gives them the opportunity to play out of a matchup just by having a better list.
Exactly. They have a better list, but they also you might be looking at them like, well, this particular faction is probably going to take it on the chin more than another one, and there's a good chance that it might not win as many games. Let's use me an example. I'm playing on the team, and I'm going to lose probably 3 out of the 5 rounds that I play. But if you put me in a skew list up against other people, and they don't know that I'm a bad player, then they might, put their best guy against, and then now you have your best players to concentrate on, the list that you want, and do basically manipulate the matchups.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can. That is a good thought that you can manipulate matchups that way, but the only place that this tournament actually really gets played at is obviously the WTC, where everybody's considered to be a high quality player. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't really ever come into it. So I guess I've never really thought of it that way, but it does. But we also won't have any knowledge of who would or would be a weaker player. I mean, you can definitely use this strategy to your advantage, put them forward to your skew list, just like you said, but yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thought.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm bad. I'm just going to take big skews. I'm going to play like Mother Double Prime Axiom and then like Axis like 75 models. That's all I'm going to do.
Sweet.
Ryan, what do you think? You haven't been talking.
What did the WTC USA team do last year? Where were their list?
I don't know.
I don't know what
Why
their
should
lists
I know
were.
that?
I know they went. Yeah, I know they took the
won.
terrain advantage almost every time.
I remember now. Jake played Legion.
Yeah, I mean, did they play balanced lists?
I think they all took what they're good at, and they took a nice spread of armies between the two. I don't think they went specifically heavy on any team.
Yeah, nobody
double Signar, double Crix, or anything like that.
Well, they also had to play.
They had double
lists
Crix.
they've
I think
played before, right?
That was only the one guy.
They played double Crix.
Right, but didn't the other team also have a Crix player?
Possibly, but the one that got first place had 2 Crix. They had Anthony Ferrelio playing Crix and Ryan Chaboga playing Crix.
And one of them had Denny 2, the other
Yeah.
one had Scar, 30 Bane Knight, so then Gorshade, right?
Ryan played Scar and I think Gorshade, and then it was not Body and Soul Denegra 2 list, and I don't know what his third list was.
I thought it was Denny 1. No? Okay.
So basically, they played lists to cover their list, just like they were going into a tournament by themselves.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things they noticed after the first one is that they tried to build too much for matchups. Like, what do you want to play against? What don't you want to play against with your lists and stuff? And they just realized that they probably should just play lists they're more comfortable with and like more, because for the most part they'll figure out how to cover the matchups just when selecting.
So probably the only alterations they made was determining who was going to take what armies, because a couple of them could have switched between factions. Like Jake was going to play Legion, obviously, because that's what he's played forever.
I believe
But, like-
Keith was planning on playing Crix.
And they swapped in a Kirk's player.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think they had the Haley 1 Galleon and Stormwall list.
I don't even know.
I think that was Craig
What they
Conroy
had.
played that.
Double Colossal, huh?
I mean, he definitely won like every game because he had double colossal.
Yep.
Ryan hates
So they're
double
all fun
colossal for the
games.
people out there who are curious. Why are we
It should
talking
be-
about this?
They should be FA1.
Well, the problem is they'll never change it now because people have
No.
bought two.
Yeah, it's money.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, they just alienate the people that bought two.
Kind of like the same reason why theme lists are not going to go away.
There's too many people that own way too many models to play legally. They'd have to remove FA restrictions on all the things that were in tier lists before, or at least add a way to play them. Even if they took the
Personally-
bonuses away, other than just changing FA.
Personally, I think we should just take armies that we're comfortable with and that we would take to a tournament, and then just make sure that we have enough spread through our team to handle. I don't think people are going to take skews like five Cricks, 5 Meat Mountain, because
No. I
yeah,
mean,
they
somebody
might win
will because there'll be
80%
a
of their
prize.
games. Yeah, they might win 80% of their games, but they're going to lose one, right? So, or one round. So I don't know what would be the point to that. I think everyone builds for boogeymans like that, but I don't know if anyone actually takes lists like that.
I don't think you'd possibly see a 5 Cricks team.
Yeah,
you think the only faction you could possibly even play into this is Trolls. With playing all the faction, the same faction. Cricks has really good casters, but their top tier casters are not 10 deep.
They could probably get by, but yeah, you'd have like one. Your like last two people on your team would be like struggling.
Or could be, yeah.
Because you could do. Basically, everyone gets a power cache like Denny 1, Denny 2, Lich 2, Scar
there's-
1.
There's only one Haley 1, so it gives you 4
true.
opportunities to win the game afterwards.
That's true.
Yeah, the problem is not really the Crix casters being good. It's just that most of the Crix builds with those casters end up looking the same. Like Gorshade 3 looks different. Or Gorshade 2, sorry, looks different. And Morton Abra, she's different. Denny 3 will probably be a little bit different.
Yeah, she'll definitely be different.
She'll be crazy
But
because
most of
she'll
them
be
you're
able to
gonna
be
have
built
to say-
anyway, but, you know.
Yeah, mostly you have to say, can I kill Statixis and can I keep Bane Thralls off me? And that's 90% of Crix, right?
Yeah, but
Or
you're
a
not
lot
going
of
to see
Crix.
Denny 3 at this.
No, yeah, she won't be out.
Right.
Well, she might be out.
Carl won't allow
She's not
those,
on the
just
release.
Right.
like how Ryan
You
got to
can't
play
do-
Runes of War every round last time.
Yeah.
Haley 3 will technically
Yes, I did.
be available.
Do you
Yeah,
want
if
to
he
play
goes
Borka
back.
2? Or do you want to play Runes
If
of
she
War?
comes out that
I'll
That
take
was
Runes.
hilarious. I gave the guy the option and he chose Runes of War. It's like,
Oh my
okay.
god, I forgot about that. Yeah, last year at Killing Girl, Ryan played Runes of War and Borka 2, and he played against a Signar player, and he's like, well, I don't care which, but
Well, that's what he brought.
because
and
Borka 2 wasn't technically legal yet, and so he messed up his list. And he offers his opponent, he's like, I'll just let you pick my list. And he's
What?
like, I'd rather play against Runes. And he just got crushed.
that's what Hot Carl said he had to do. He
Yeah.
said, you can play it, but only if the other person says it's okay.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Do we have commenters?
We do.
Nice.
They played into your
They're
hands.
talking about double galleon.
Double galleon. I'm
Double
gonna play
colossals.
double galleon.
That was the same game that he charged my Mulg, Arm 23 Mulg behind the wall under P. Doomy's feet with his Storm Wall.
And did
And did
half
more
its
damage
upgrade.
to his Storm Wall than he did Mulg.
But you know, it's not an armor skew.
It's not armor skew. It survives colossals
It's
to the face.
not.
It's
not
It
an
survives
armor
the
skew.
4-focus temporal accelerated storm wall.
It's average. I mean, when you've got such an armor skew, it just doesn't die.
We're just giving you shit. It's okay.
He's just having
You
an
guys are
aneurysm at his
ridiculous.
computer.
I don't disagree with your statements on it, but I still would tend to lean that it's an armor skew. But that's neither here nor there.
Striker 1 and Harkovich are annoying as crap.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, look, I have like an armor 28 storm wall.
Striker 1's noise crap. Harkovich just won't get dropped against Crix.
That's true.
Because, you know, when you can put the 5 armor swing on it, armor 23 doesn't do shit.
Whoa. If you broadside, you can drop like 12 freaking creeping barrage templates, sir. Explain to me how you get to their army.
Make him roll 8s and 9s to break
Damn it.
armor.
Damn it.
Or Scar
Yay,
Feet
double
and go.
colossal. Yay.
Or just charge him with Texas.
Scar Feet and all my Bane Knights
and backlash him to
literally
death.
cannot be killed by your creeping barrage.
Damn it. All right. So moving on to the matchup segment. Okay, so what we have decided to do is we're taking... Ryan is going to be playing Trolls. Ryan, do you want to very briefly discuss your 2 lists?
Have you
Runes
settled on
plus
a second
something.
Runes plus something. All right. So you're playing the armor skew. All right.
Yeah.
Then we've got Max playing Crix.
Is ADR going to be allowed?
We don't think so.
That would be so...
It kind of will add way too many layers
Oh my
to the
God.
game. List selection will be impossible.
Especially because it's just going to be just barely into next session of... Because it's in July, so it'll
Yeah.
be just barely into the new ADR. It would be crazy.
But I was planning on taking Scar 1 because she's good against a lot of things. Many things
Yeah.
can't deal with how many bodies she brings. I think she's incredibly boring to play for the most part, but she's really good, and it gives me an option against Bradigus drop.
She's the bluntest
then
of instruments.
I still think Lich 2 is fantastic, and it was my favorite model, and it was the first one I purchased, so I will keep playing him.
All right. Next up, I believe, is me. I am playing Convergence of Cirrus badly at this tournament. I'm going to probably be playing Mother Directrix double Primaxium because, it's double Colossal, so I'm going to win all my games. And then Father Lucant, most likely. I'm still playing around with what I'm going to play with him, but probably some Jackson infantry.
Huh. What else do you have to choose from?
Battle engines
Solos.
and solos.
Lots of Steel Soul Protectors.
Yeah, I'm just taking 10 Steel Soul Protectors. It's pretty good. Then next up we have Cody of the Cody Town, and he is playing Legion. I believe
I
it's
thought he
Veil
wasn't
1.
able to go.
He's playing the Veils.
He's playing both Veils. We're gonna literally just throw him to the wolves every round. Like, just beat this Legion player for us, would you? And he's like, oh, like just first time out every time. And then the last person on our team is Parker. Believe he is playing Kador at the moment.
But he could play anything.
He could play anything.
He could end up being Crix, Signar, Kador. Those are probably his 3 choices.
Mercenaries.
You won't know until 7 minutes after the start time.
Yeah.
Because everyone will be waiting
When
for
he's
him to
still
fill his
pulling-
list
When he's
out.
filling his lists
He's
out.
like, wait, I gotta make my list up. And then he'll walk over and go, what do you think about this? What do you think?
It's like
What do you
you
think? I don't
built
know.
this
That's
list
your
6 months
decision.
ago and have been playtesting it the whole fucking time, and now you're asking me what
And
you
then his
should take.
Nists are going to get scared by Ruin, and he's
Yeah.
just going to think that Ruin's bad.
Oh yeah, battle report update. Ruin is bad, and people who play him are bad, according to someone playing Ruin.
Crazy talk.
He's
This is
so
just-
I
bad.
don't disagree.
Podcasts should just
Yeah,
be called
because
the
they
All of
don't need another reach.
He's like a negative 12 points in your list because when your NIST break because you move them right next to Ruin, it's the Ruin's fault.
But you don't lose Ruin.
Yep.
That's true. And then Ruin dies horribly without ever attacking anything.
What do you mean? He just spelled Refuge
That's
in
true.
that match.
All right.
All right.
So that's our matchup. We've got Khador, Convergence, Crix, Legion, Trolls. I think it's a decent spread. We've got basically our 2 infantry hordes that hit hard. We've got 2 beefy lists between the Trolls and the Convergence, and then we've got like an all-comers. Still heavy, though, is Legion. So we're probably leaning a little heavy towards the wanting to dodge Crix, but Convergence can play pretty well into Crix, and Trolls, if built right, can also. So
I think Legion plays fine into a lot
and
of
Legion
crits.
can also, yeah. So all 5 of the armies can build an anti-Crix list if they need to, and I don't think we need to go that deep because I don't think you'll ever see more than 2 Crix players on one team unless they're just screwing
There's a
around.
good chance there could be plenty of people playing double Crix, but
Right, I think double Crix is very likely, but 3 I don't see happening, especially not with how popular certain lists are right now. Because they'd be stretching for what people consider.
I feel like you're going to see a
lists.
lot of Body and Soul and stuff like that.
Body and
'cause
Soul, Star,
that's
Lich,
instantly cutting out 4 of the casters
right?
from Crix.
From the other 2s, like if you couldn't play with Denny 1, Denny 2, Lich, or Scar, what do you play? You're like, Gorshade?
Is it cutting out just the
You can
character?
play-
or
No, just the caster.
The caster.
Yeah, you can't duplicate.
You could
casters.
play 3 deep in Crix pretty easily and still have 3 really strong warcasters.
Yeah. But I don't.
After that,
3
you start
would be
getting
stretching it, but I definitely don't see any more than
No.
that.
And if you're going to go any more than 3, fuck it, let's go 5. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, why not just take 5 Tartaruses at that point? 5 Blood Hags, 10 Blood Hags.
Yeah, you just might have to just go balls deep.
But like,
and,
do you want to do a fake pairing?
Yeah,
Or
that's what I was
something
going
like
to say.
that?
We
Well, I
should
know,
do
that's
next.
what I was saying.
So moving on,
So we kind of know what we have, somewhat. I mean, except for Parker, but
Right.
probably Khador.
Parker's probably playing some form of Butcher 1 and or Sorsha 2, and then probably Vlad. So I've math hammered up some lists to be in here. So if anyone has
we
a
are
question,
getting a question about who for Circle first. So,
who for Circle first?
Okay.
What does that mean?
well, who are we going to drop against Circle?
Oh, who's our Circle drop? Would be
Who
Max as Crix because Scar 1 can deal with. I don't know that any. I mean, apparently Chromac is
It
good
depends
against
on.
Circle, but or not Circle.
Kruger too, I think would be perfectly fine against Scar.
It depends if you can, if she can, if he has a really good scenario game against her for sure. But to a certain point, there is enough target. It just depends if you can get enough stuff in the zone that he can't clear it. If he can't get to everything in the zones, then he has problems. Because at a certain point, he has to beat Scar most of the time on scenario.
Well, what kind of Scar list are you doing?
30 Bane Knights with Mechanic Rolls,
So like the cheer boga list.
basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Billion
Might
dudes
not
that
be
do it.
exactly the same, but it'd be similar.
I mean, I haven't played Crix against Circle, but I would think that you have to feat first, and then he feats
Against
second,
Kruger? Why would you have to feat first?
because you're just going to shoot your shit down. I mean, like the typical Kruger list right now, with Wold Shrimp and
I
but
don't know.
Una
Old
and
Shrimp
shoot
is
him
5
down.
guns.
Yeah.
2 units
then
is 10 guns. There's
probably-
60 plus models on the table.
and then probably a Sacred Vault. The Sacred Vault alone,
Sacred
Well,
Vault.
if
maybe.
they have Sacral Vault in the list, then I have to play Lich. But
Well-
Lich has plenty of game against them.
If they're trying to frontline with it, you could potentially feat because you don't need the feat to kill the stuff, so you could feat
but
and
there's
put your hell
there's other things that we have that I think are better circle matchups,
Okay.
namely the Veils.
Yeah.
Crix first.
Legion's stupid good.
That's his question. Crix
Yeah.
versus Nirvana. I don't think that's terrible. Like I don't think any
It's
of that
just-
would be
it's-
any more than a game. Like it's probably not massively favorable.
It's goofy attrition, but it kind of really depends on. I mean, it's all about positioning. If you're playing against Morvana, I think Lich has a super strong attrition game against her because
Yeah, the
if she
Yeah, I
can't,
agree.
if she can't get rid of, your only targets are undead. Well, only one unit's going to be that way. If she's playing unit heavy, you can just
Also-
play Excarnate game, and she doesn't have a ranged way to really kill your army.
Yeah. And then moving on, the Khador pairing, it really depends on the matchup. I don't usually struggle with Khador against Circle, but it might just be I play bad Circle players, so I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's
like
true.
Colin Hill.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
The game.
I lost
That's
that
because
game.
you guys
I know
get
you did.
distracted and go. Oh, God.
That was a long time ago, though. I do think the
His voice
Legion,
was
the
lovely.
Legion drop would probably be okay.
You both got doughy-eyed. And, oh.
'Cause doesn't-
you want me to move him here?
I would think that Veil 1 does really well against Circle because she does the yo-yo just as well as they do. And she's got more range threat than he does.
Both Veils are really good against Circle.
Yeah.
I mean, Legion just in general usually out-threats Circle, which is kind of what it takes. I mean, Angels on average, pretty sure, cripple the F out of Werewolves or kill them.
So, Ryan,
I
how
think
does-
specifically the circle fear is Lilith 2.
Yeah, it's,
Right. If
I was a
it really
Circle
is
player,
specifically
I'd
that
hate to
because
see
they
Lilith
can't
too.
hide from the Ravagors, and Ravagors explode
Right.
things. It definitely is,
Yeah.
but there's enough shooting and whatnot, just boostable guns in general in any Legion list because, well, guess what? Hand cannons fucking hurt.
Ryan, how does the runes match up in a circle? I thought it was really good.
It's decent.
As long as they don't have druids, I'm perfectly fine. If they have druids, then it's a tough slog.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, if it's Kruger 2 with like double stalker and not druids, then I feel perfectly fine. If it's Morvana, I've played that. I feel perfectly fine. But if it's Chromac, I'm not too thrilled about that either, especially if it's the Pagani build because Old Shrimp can shave down Rune Shapers and then Bestial just can kick you in the nuts and then he's got a good alpha. So I wouldn't be crazy about a Chromac matchup either. I think it's playable, but I wouldn't like it.
I think it's. I don't know that it would be. I think it's possible Kaya 2 could be a problem for you because she hits hard enough and goes from far enough away. But I don't know that it necessarily. I don't think it's worse than play. I mean, like you can play into that matchup because you have the wall protection makes a huge difference.
Yes, I don't mind alpha lists with runes because then I just put my rune. I mean, basically, when I line up runes, I say
Right, you just
do
send
I
the
need to
rune
protect my
shapers in
rune
so they can't
shapers?
get to Mulg because they have something that will one round Mulg.
Yeah, you just basically say, do I need to lead with rune shapers or my beast when you get into a matchup? And against Kaya 2, you just put your rune shapers out front. Say, okay, do your alpha, kill 12 points, I don't care, and then we'll play. But I don't like. I played against druids with E. Kruger with runes, and it didn't feel good. I've never played against Chromac, but I imagine it's very similar.
Yeah, I would think so.
All right, so the first matchup that I have down here is Krix, Legion, Trolls, Circle, and Signar. And then if you guys want to know, I've made up fake caster pairs for them.
Because
Okay.
he has time.
I don't have that much time. All right,
Sounds
so
like it.
so let's say we win the roll to go first. Who do we drop down?
I don't know what they have.
What did you say?
Let's go over it again.
Krix, Legion, Trolls, Circle, Signar.
Well, I think this is where it gets into the meat of how are we going to build our list? Because
that's-
if you ask me to build a runes plus cover weapon master list, then I'm fine going first. So if they throw Krix at me, I'd be like, okay, well I can answer 30 Bait Knights because I have P Gram.
Well,
Fire
which
Eater.
list are you planning on taking right now? You said the Gristle one.
I like the gross. I feel the most comfortable playing that P
All
Gristle
right,
list,
well,
but that
for
would
this,
not be
we'll
still.
assume you're taking that, and then based on how this goes, you might want to change your mind. Let's do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, then I would not.
So
wanna
clearly,
lead.
Cody gets thrown to the wolves. So Cody's going out first because he's not here. All right. So we have Veil 1 and Veil 2 on the board. What do you expect them to drop into Legion? I think that Trolls is obviously a good choice, and then maybe a Legion mirror. I have this guy playing both Veils. as well.
I just don't feel like you can. I don't know. This exercise, I don't know that really works because without literally seeing list builds and casters.
Well, I mean,
it's
it doesn't
really
have to be perfect.
hard.
This is just better practice than not doing anything.
I can think of a half a dozen troll lists that do very well against Legion. So I'm
That's
assuming
fine.
they would
So-
drop their troll player.
Yeah, but you gotta drop
if-
a troll in something else. What's your next best matchup?
Right.
Because you got to think that we're gonna drop trolls, and let's say we know they're gonna drop trolls into Legion, our Legion. We know that trolls is a good matchup for it, so we're going to be picking whatever their second best matchup is. Mm-hmm. So what's their second best matchup that they would drop into Legion?
I'm thinking it might be the Circle player because I have Bradigus Kruger 2 into Legion. Is that okay?
Yeah, because
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
well, I don't know.
Because playing Veil 1, Veil 2, I guess Veil 1 is supposed to be actually the brightest answer, so at least in Legion, right?
decent enough, anyways.
Abby
yeah.
2 and Veil 1 are your options. And Cody's pretty used to playing against armor, so that probably wouldn't be terrible. Or Scar 1, Lich 2, maybe.
Against
Well,
Against
depending on the
Cody.
troll, I mean, it could be a gotcha. I mean, because he plays against trolls all the time,
Right, and that's
he has
why
PL.
I like having Cody on the team because all he does is play against runes twice a week. So he's like,
I
God
know,
damn
I
it.
don't ever play runes against him, but he's played against runes enough, and he's played against trolls enough that, and he's played PVL, and PVL I think is Legion's best answer against trolls.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so who's else other than trolls? We have Crix, Legion, Mirror, Circle, and Signar.
what's the Signar casters
Haley 2, Siege.
that plays into Legion?
Okay. I think
Yep.
I kind of agree. Thoughts?
I mean, you have one
Yeah, no, I
caster
agree.
that can shoot their beasts off the board, and the other caster can just win the control game.
well, plus they'll have Haley 2 Gorman, and Legion a lot of times just kind of stares at Gorman and tries to figure out what the fuck to do with him. So
Yeah, because
they would probably drop Signar.
All right, so of the...
So what do we select for him though?
I would assume that Cody would not play into trolls with runes.
I think. Well, I don't know. If you think Cody's fine with the matchup, do you give Cody the troll player that you think maybe he has a shot to beat, but we can literally smash a Signar player if we drop the right list into it?
Do
I mean-
we smash the Signar player?
I don't know that we do. I'm just saying.
Because this is definitely when it starts getting into the theory craft of the game. It's like, do we just say Cody can fight against trolls and he'll beat your average runes player, but probably not a good runes player? Or does...
Which
'cause
Haley did you say? 2?
Haley 2.
Two
the
and
good
like
one.
Siege is what he has.
Well, the thing about it is, if we want to put Cody into matchups he knows, those would be both
I feel
matchups
like-
he knows.
Right,
well.
because he plays Signar and
Yeah.
he plays against
Yeah.
you a lot with trolls.
Yep.
So we have the Crix play. I feel like Crix will be good against their troll player, and I probably need more practice, but I feel okay playing into trolls because I also play trolls.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I bet the troll players we see are going to have Meat Mountain and runes.
I think.
I don't
Mother
think they're
can
going to
beat
have a
Meat Mountain,
Peace
can't
Star
she?
coverage, and if they don't,
I was
then we can turn
thinking
around and
about
drop
that earlier.
Crix.
I think so.
I don't know.
Mainly because I can just
You
kill
just
4 guys
you kill
a turn.
4 warriors a turn.
Yeah, I kill 4 guys a turn and then just put servitors in the way.
And then if they tough, you elimination shoot it, make
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah, I can kill, and then after I've killed those guys, I just pick up another medium-based dude and just kill him. And I'm like, okay.
I've also been seeing that elemental list
Yeah.
quite a bit lately.
Right, which if they had
Yeah, that's
if they
true.
had EE and runes, I would have to probably drop Lucan, which I think can play into runes, but he also is probably the best answer for. Actually, no, I was
He
thinking
can
about that one
definitely
too.
play into runes. He has this sweet spell called
Purification.
Purification.
Purification. Brick
It's
breaker.
called -2 armor.
It's called Brick Breaker. It just beats
That,
bricks.
that doesn't
I'm just
that
kidding.
doesn't hurt runes that much.
It-
But yeah,
It brings
it's-
that plus positive charge.
When you
means-
go to power 19, basically, or when you're a power 19 and you're now only armor 21,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually put damage on it. Whereas if you're dice off 4, you're really struggling to do damage.
Also with Watcher, I force you to purify before you can send beasts in on me. So it makes it strenuous for Doom Shaper. Anyway, so I think Cody probably takes the troll matchup. Does that make
It just
sense?
depends.
I
You
think he should take Signar.
Think Signar.
I think you'd take Signar, to be honest.
All right, so Cody takes Signar. Troll players on the block.
I think it would be more what lists are available for him. But yeah.
I think his Veil. He plays Veil Win a lot too, so that he. I don't know. All
It's the
right,
important one to know how to play better.
we're dropping it into Signar. All right, so trolls are on the block. I assume when he does, his options are Grim 2, and runes.
I don't like Grim 2, but
Right. Spence just got out of work.
I suppose you can... Grim 2, you don't need anything with Scar's feet to kill anything, so you could just feet turn 2 to get in and save guys.
I think you're fine Max against that.
Yeah,
don't
I think so too.
Egrim's
I just
that
think
good of
you just have to think about, yeah, if I save the feat to just obliterate things, just to not have to roll damage because I kill them so bad, then I think you're missing the point. I think you'd rather have the 5 armor swing against a power 12 gun list or power 10 12 gun list and get there a little bit ahead of time with more dudes, because power 11 weapon masters kill everything in that list generally, especially because there's no stone. But even if there is a stone, you're looking at killing a bomber in melee.
Yeah. Okay, so
So you
Max,
think
you're
so do you
fine
win
against
against
So probably
Signar?
you'd probably drop
pairing
Crix.
against their troll player right now.
You'd probably drop
Right.
Crix, and then I don't know what's your second
Probably
best drop
Parker with
Yeah,
Kador.
so Signar's off the list. So I would probably say Kador and probably Convergence.
Also Crix.
But I would definitely.
Or we could save Crix. Well, that's the thing. We have Circle, Legion, and Crix will be after this, so this might be the best time to drop Crix into Trolls. To at least force them to play Grim 2 instead of Runes.
Well, the minute we have Signar out of the formula, I mean, I
Crix
think
can
Crix
drop
is
into
pretty
most
safe.
anything.
Yeah, but they might actually choose something else besides. What are you pairing with the Crix?
Yeah,
That's
we have to
Kador,
choose
is
something.
what I'm
That's
saying.
what we said. Crix, and
I
then
said Parker and Max, basically. So
Okay.
Kador and Crix, which is normally
Yeah.
the 2 nightmare matchups for Trolls, because they actually hit hard enough to get through their armor skews of Runes
Yep.
and other things.
Kador can answer runes just fine, and so can
and
Crix.
what do they choose? They choose Kador.
All right, if you were
I
playing
think they're-
against Lich 2 or Scar 1, and then Butcher 1 or Sorsha 2,
What do you choose, Ryan?
if
What-
you've
what
got
do you
Grim
think they
2 and
would pick?
Runes.
Then I pick the Kador player
That's
kinda
because
what I figured.
neither Grim 2 nor Runes I think can handle 30 Scar. So
Okay. So, that leaves Max on the board versus Crix, Legion, and Circle. Crix is your pair. Legion is both Veils. Circle is Bradgus Kruger 2. So what of those 3 do you think is your strongest matchup? Because that's what you won't see.
I'd probably not see Circle.
I think they might drop Circle, depending on how their Kruger list is built. I think there's a good chance they would drop Circle and try to play a scenario game.
I think they'll hang on to their Crix drop because we've still got Convergence and Trolls left.
Yeah, I kind of think I would see
You're going to see
Legion Circle. And if we're expecting them to drop Kruger, I'd take Legion 100% of the time.
Okay.
Would you agree, Ryan, that that's probably the easier matchup? Legion
Yep, I
versus
agree.
Kruger 2?
Yeah.
yep. As long as they
Because
don't have
nothing in
centering,
Legion
yeah.
controls as hard as Kruger 2 does.
I think I can kill Kruger 2 as well, because if he moves up to... He can't storm all my Colossals because they're range 15 on the Acela Spikers. And if I can move up a Flare bot and flare him, I'll have effectively Rat 10 Colossals shooting at him, so he'll just die.
With 12 gunshots?
Yeah, it's like, here's 12 gunshots at Rat 10,
Well, and
I
they
can
don't-
boost most of these.
Unless he can guarantee stealth, he doesn't like his heavies against you either.
Right. And I can move up like reflex servitors or drop spells on him and stuff and try and get rid of his prowl options for later in the game. I think I could play into Circle okay. The problem I would worry about is
So
Strategus.
we're down to 3, right?
We're down to... No, it's just me and Ryan.
Right, you and Ryan. So it'd be you and Ryan versus Circle player. I think we...
Ryan, you wouldn't want to drop Runes or Gersa 1 into P-Scar, right?
They're going to choose you.
Well, we get to pick the matchup. We went first.
Because Circle's on the board right now.
Oh, yeah,
Circle's
because
on
they have
board,
their
yeah.
last player.
So, Ryan, which of these... Would you rather play against Circle or Crix? Because I can beat the shit out of
Well,
P-Scar.
that's-
I'm worried about Lich, too.
If I have my Pete Gristle
You
list,
shouldn't
I
be
would
worried about
prefer to
Lich, too.
play. I would prefer to play Circle. If I have my Pete Gristle
Yeah,
list, if I have Pete Grim,
I think you give him Circle and you say, unfortunately, yeah, it may not be your most opportune matchup, Ryan or Brandon, but you have to try to play
It's a
into
game.
it because Ryan has a higher opportunity of winning against Circle.
yeah, because even if it's E Kruger with Druids, I'm okay dropping Pete Gristle into that too.
Have you
'cause
played
She
against
doesn't give a
Brad
shit
against
about
Paul?
any.
Actually, no. They
I'm
get
sorry?
to pick the matchup, right? Am I thinking this wrong?
Yes.
I think so.
I am thinking this backwards. So yeah.
Oh,
Max,
yeah, never mind.
Max
We
gets
put our
Because I
selected
picked
Legion.
matchup, then they get to pick matchup.
Yeah. So they would.
That's
take-
why
I'm probably gonna eat
we
that.
said it wrong earlier. The second team picks the last two and gets to choose terrain. That's why the USA team thought that was the more powerful way to go in the last tournament.
All right. So the first time through, we got Ryan with Trolls playing against Crix, Max with Crix playing against Legion, Parker with Kador playing against Trolls.
I think they may have actually won this list selection.
I think they did. Well, that's why we need to practice. But I mean,
We beat ourselves, guys.
well, I don't think going first is an advantage. I think, like you're saying, the person who wins the role is going to choose to go second. As Convergence, I was playing against Circle, and then as Cody as Legion was playing against Signar. So I feel like in theory, that Legion's supposed to play well against Signar because they lack enough high power attacks. Kador and the Trolls should be okay. Convergence to Circle is probably a coin flip. I don't know if I can beat Bradigus, but I haven't played against him yet. So, Max Crix into Legion's probably okay. I mean, it depends on the pairing. It's probably a hard game for Crix though. And then
If they have Saren, it's going to be a really difficult
Well,
game.
they didn't have Saren in this, otherwise I wouldn't have picked Legion.
right,
Oh, okay.
yeah, there was no.
They
Saren.
were both the Veils like Cody.
And then
Oh,
Ryan
okay.
into Trolls into Crix is usually not great. All right, so that was one dry run. If going again, we might make different decisions. Next pair is.
I need to go again.
Don't need to go again.
Do we?
Do we? I think there's one. Let's do this one because I actually made this one. I think it was really good against us. This one is Menoth, Crix, Kador, Trolls. Oh wait, I'm reading the wrong one. Which one was the good one?
What other Menoth lists?
Menoth was Harby and High Reclaimer. I think it was this one I was supposed to do though. Okay, Signar, Convergence, Legion, Trolls, and Crix.
What?
Signar, Convergence, Legion, Trolls, and Craig.
Basically our matchup, but instead of Kador, Parker
Circle.
would be training. Oh yeah, there's no circle. So, just because they're the strongest faction.
So who's the casters for Signar?
Signar is Haley 2 Siege again. I don't know why
Okay.
you would play anything but Haley 2 Siege unless you're trying to cover a very specific matchup.
And Convergence is Father and
Father, Mother. The
Legion
Legion
is
player
Veils.
Veil 2 and Lilith 2. And then the other two are
Trolls
same as
is-
last time. Runes Grim 2
So
and Lich Scar.
We're also going to
Okay.
see more variation in the list pair than what we're getting with this,
Right.
but
and we're
with
going
casters
first again.
and stuff. Are we first or are we second?
I think first is a disadvantage, but
I
we should
don't
probably go
disagree.
with that then because it would make it harder.
How was that decided?
You roll off, and then the winner chooses.
And second player gets to pick the last two matchups and tables.
Do we have any more questions?
They're just throwing out list pairs.
Okay.
I think the intention was for you guys to kind of look into those, though.
What'd you
What'd
say,
you
Ryan?
say?
Or Richard?
The comments, I think he gave some list, like what would you drop against that particular matchup.
What was this particular matchup?
Let's see, Scorn with Rasheth, Chain Gang with 6 Titans, Trollbloods with Runes, Signar, E. Haley, Double Storm Wall, Legion, E. Abbey, Scythian ×2, Seraph, Angel, and Support, and then Axis Tier, 4 Foundries, 2 Obstructors, 2 Reductors, 2 Inverters, and Support. And,
You can't do that. Wait, did you say Eradicators, or did I hear wrong?
Reductors, 2 Inverters, and Support. So he's asking Scorn
But
and
he only
Signar.
gave one list for each, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
I
kinda
assume that's their
confused on-
scary list.
Well, I'll take that Scorn
Well,
Rashith
I was
all
gonna
day
say,
for
well,
you.
if I get to have
Yeah.
Scorn, I'll take that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's clear
I
answers.
played that.
There's clear answers
played that
for
at
all
Killing
of
Grill.
those. The problem is
It's all
getting
about the
the
list
majority
selection.
of matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So none of those lists are necessarily bad, but they all have something that will beat them, just like almost everything in the game does. I mean,
they're all very powerful lists. Most of them are skews. The Epic Abbey, I think, just struggles against anything that can take a punch and come back at you. Like, I think Trolls would be not great for Abbey 2, but at the same time, you have to be really careful. Like, Runes would, I think, be fine against Abbey 2.
Would it?
Because you have the Rune
Yes,
Shapers
it
to
is. I
actually
played that.
screen, and you have the walls to manipulate placement. And she can put 3 or 4 very quality heavies into spots. But if you have the right screening models that can actually stop people, I think it's okay.
I think it's okay, but I think don't rakes on feet turn do a number on Rune Shapers?
Sure.
I've
but-
played that. I played that matchup, and since you never feed her conferred rage because if
No,
she
yeah,
tries to
you
trigger
never will. I
rage,
mean,
she dies.
there's no doubt about that. She'll never get conferred rage unless she's literally dying or winning the game.
Right. If rakes
Right.
get to do me, I mean, but you shouldn't be letting that happen.
No,
They
and I'm not
can't.
saying that, but I
They
think
can't.
well, I guess he said the 2-Scythian one. The most recent list I've seen with Abby is, I think it may have been Tier, and it was
Is it
a
Brent's
couple
list?
shredders. Yeah, and it was
Brent's
3
list
Scythians
is
with
3
like
Scythians.
4 rakes.
3 Scythians, 1 Seraph, 3 rakes, and 2 shredders.
Yeah, and then two
Abomination
Forsakens.
chicks. Yeah, Forsakens.
Yeah, so what happens in that matchup, I've played against Cody's Abby 2 a few times, and what happens is the turn, because Abby 2 always, you know when she's going to feed.
Yeah.
So
when
you
she
move
can
up,
get the
you move
alpha.
up, you move up, and you feet the turn before she wants to feet, and put your Rune Shapers out front. And it's like, yeah, she can feet, send rakes in, kill some Rune Shapers, send some beasts in, but they're all taking damage, so she doesn't want to do that. So then she has to back off scenario, and from there it usually starts going downhill. And plus,
If
first
you,
stick is
if you land
a
a
lot of
tremor on a rake, it's so horrible for the rake.
yeah, and it's not that hard. And then she wants to get her beasts buffed up and then fly over shit, take a free strike, and go hit something juicy. But you can't do that with Rune Shapers because they force lock. So it did not feel like a good matchup for Abby 2 when I played against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably
But-
isn't at least spectacular.
The
anyways.
Axis list, anything with remove from play or which is hard on constructs, but it's still out there, like Hellmouth and Crevasse, or just if you go against a Crevasse caster, it's like a fucking auto loss for Axis because you just remove handfuls of models at a time with no repercussion.
If you just
really.
have massive amounts of sprays,
Or yeah,
he cannot deal with the amount of models he'll remove.
Or just like Signar or anyone with long range target removal that can get rid of the foundries is huge.
Also, if you just have stuff that's fast and you happen to win the roll against Axis, he loses his staying, or I mean, he'll have his staying power, but he loses his scenario control ability.
if he's not up on scenario, it's whoever death clocks first usually, unless you have remove from play and then you can just table him. Like it is really hard to get those answers, kind of like Body and Soul. Like if you don't have like Purification or Banishing Ward, you can't get rid of Pursuit. You're just kind of screwed.
Like,
but
Body and Shoal just
If
runs
you-
over Axis as well.
yeah, because Hellmouth is just so terrible. Like one of the most
And 8
popular lists
sprays.
right now just crushes Axis. I don't remember the other list they were talking about. What was it?
So I got some more info on
Yeah. Go for
what
it.
he wanted to see. So your your first drop, right? You get to pick into Scorn and Signar. Here's the casters. Rasheth Chaingang with 6 Titans. P. Makeda with Mammoth. Mullet Karn with support. Signar will be playing E. Haley, Double Storm Wall. And E. Kane, Boomhowler Blazers. ATGM, Rowdy Rangers, 4 Guard and support.
He wants to know what we would drop into that specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that's assuming that you got the first.
Well, it seems
Pick.
like two very. I guess the double storm wall is probably standardized. So both lists have the option for lots of hit points and armor, but both of them have a noticeable off list that's very different. So it's kind of like a list chicken situation. I would think that Runes is fine into that. The problem would be the second list we would put into it. Legion might be okay. Because Veil 1 could probably get through the Titans if you position really well.
Veil 1 would
if-
completely own Rashith.
Does she? I
Just
haven't
like
seen the
Rune.
matchup.
I don't know.
She's got.
It
she's
doesn't
got
sound good
spell
for
marker
Rasheth.
ra-
It you got to realize that it's
Spellmarker Rampager.
Rampager's really good.
Really, really good.
She can't arc it though. He has Castigate. He'll deny that.
Yeah, depending on his placement.
But his feat's also super powerful at stopping her from doing damage. I mean, you're talking about armor 21 beasts, and now they're all -2 armor and -2 strength. And if there's a crying elephant in the background, now they're -4 strength, and that makes it really hard for her to break the armor. And not that Rasheth's armor is super high, but it is high enough. I mean, you're talking about probably having 2 armor 21 sentries that are lockering things.
Mm-hmm.
So
you gotta get it dead.
He has a really good ability that, okay, you literally can't move away from them. So if you don't kill them, and if they're under feet, they're armor 25. So they're pretty difficult to kill at that point.
If you do get, because Domination's range 10, right? So he's got to be within 4 inches of the back edge of his beast.
That's pretty close for him.
Yeah. That's pretty close. So you can probably land a Dominate, move up the Titan out of control, and turn it around, and possibly kill one for free, basically, without feeding. Next turn, he jams into you with the rest of the 5. You gotta be careful not to trigger counter charges on the bronze back, because he takes bronze back, right? If not 2.
He just Rampager the bronze back too.
Yeah, because he's not a character. So yeah, the next time when you fully commit, she can come in with insight. You can dominate the bronze back, move him up, kill the bronze back because he's going to wreck face if you don't get him dead. Maybe kill another beast, back off. You've got him down to 3 and your feet's gone. I feel like you still pull it out. I mean, even though you're going to lose.
It's not as bad. It's not as much of a crush, I don't think, as you think it
I think whoever's more experienced in the matchup probably wins that game. So but
it's definitely. I mean, if they let you rampage your beasts away and just pick them off that way, then it's game over easy time. But I don't know that that's going to necessarily happen.
Yeah.
So how much time do you guys have to pick these matchups?
I think it's like 20 minutes total.
20 minutes to pick all 5 matchups.
Mm-hmm. So basically like 5 minutes per selection. It would basically come down to, because the last one's automatic.
Who's your drop? Who are you putting against the Signar and Scorn?
I think we would drop Legion Trolls into that with our matchups.
I would take both of those matchups easily. Well, I don't want to say I'd take them, but I would be happy to play against both of them.
Right.
Put it that way.
You would feel advantaged at least slightly in both games.
Yeah.
E-Haley Double Stormwall is probably the harder of the two for you. Well, actually, both Doomy and Vale have Rampager, right? Doomy's much less likely to use it, but it's there.
Well, the last Killing Girl, I played against a Rashi's list, and I Rampagered 2 beasts in a row.
Well, here's the big deal though, against Rasheth. Purification removes locker and things like that, and then your defensive matrix kind of just falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did do that though because it's really risky against him. Because then you're going to lose Banishing Word on Doomy, and his spell assassination is actually halfway scary. But anyways,
it's like 2 boosted to hit Breath of Corruptions.
Yeah, but if you Purify and Rampager with a boost, you're down to 1 Fury.
But you're under stones. You're armor 17. It's power 12. It shouldn't box you out. But it could, I guess.
But if you don't boost Rampager, you can Banishing Word yourself, which helps not.
Yeah, and Camp Zero.
Camp Zero. I don't know. Yeah, because you're still sitting on 1. You get 1 transfer. He has to one-shot you with the second spray.
It's not a spray.
Well, and whatever else might happen. A 2-handed throw
effect.
or
It's
just...
a 3-inch AoE that leaves a cloud effect. And then your defense 15 against the second one.
That's if you're not behind a wall. Behind a wall. Yeah, and then the Earthborn put his Animus on you. You can get to armor 19. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think Legion will be fine. I mean, because they have, like I said, Vel 1 is kind of like Doomy 1. Like Malice, for example. She can just fucking throw a Spellmartyr away if they try to load up an Agonizer and possibly just kill it with Malice. She's just got a lot of little things I think she could do against it.
I don't think Veil 1's bad, but I honestly don't think Veil 2 is a bad drop into
No, she's
It-
probably good in
Yeah, because
anything.
Purification's a big deal.
refuge anyway. You just keep refuging and charging
Yeah,
stuff.
you refuge 2 things and
Yeah.
have admonition on a 3rd thing. What are they getting to?
Yeah.
Just make sure the one
Yeah.
admonition's not going to get charged for the bronze back, because it turns out that's a buff.
Because they have an answer for locker
Yeah,
with
so
a
that
refuge
is.
angel, because you charge in, thrust, and then repel it away, and then you back off.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus, she's
As
got
long
the
as you get
best
out of melee, which
purification
is
in the
3
game
inches, so
too.
you should.
What'd you say, Ryan?
I said she's got the best purification in the game too.
'Cause
So
it's
I think
free.
she's, and plus she's got the best, well, one of the best tier lists. That's how many free
yeah.
And I
points?
mean,
11
she
free
also
points. So.
she
No,
also
she doesn't
gets
have
she
11.
actually has
She gets, like, 4.
a pretty decent assassination if you can put like a couple angel gunshots on Rasheth plus double a blit. You know, you're only getting 2 dice damage on any of those, but he's only armor 14.
The Blitz get full damage.
Do they?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
only
because
range
it's only range
attacks.
attacks.
Only range
Okay,
attacks.
You just
so
auto
dice
kill
plus
him.
1. That's pretty scary
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
Dice plus 1 to Blitz is scary. I mean, he could camp through it.
Oh.
I mean, he could just keep
Yeah,
free
he definitely
transfers.
can't through it, but
It's just a shit ton of damage.
that's like, 24 damage going out on his Warbeast. So it goes
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, so are we going first in this drop or are we going second?
Well, yeah, I think this was just a hypothetical. I mean, I think there's other options in our pair, but I think if we saw those 2 particular pairings, we would drop. And it might be that, like, Convergence is better, and I just don't know because I just started playing Convergence, which is why I'm trying to get lots of practice in against good people. But I think Legion Trolls would be fine into Signar Crix, or Signar Scorn.
Yeah.
So if Legion picked the Scorn matchup, what are the other 2 you'd put on the table?
You
What'd
mean
you
the
say?
Scorn picked our Legion player?
Yes.
So
and then
Signar,
then
so
they'd have to
Signar's
put up
left.
2.
I
we-
would
we have-
probably put Lucant down against Signar. D-Cell's pretty strong, plus all the shield guards, plus recursion.
Can you deal with 2
Oh,
Stormwalls?
wait a second. I thought that they put up Scorn
Yeah.
and we put down Legion Trolls.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Didn't the Scorn
team-
player select-
The first.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah.
We would be selecting.
That's right. So, yeah, we would have to pick one of ours to be down. So that's saying that someone already went.
No,
and is
they'd be
gone.
picking us because they just
Okay,
their
so
Scorn
what are
player.
they-
No.
picked-
If they have Scorn Signar, it'd be against something. So we wouldn't know what it'd be
Right.
against. So we would have to
So
drop
let's just
something.
let's just say they threw out Scorn and we threw down Legion Trolls.
Yeah.
So they're gonna pick Legion if they're smart. So that's gonna leave me on the block.
Or if we just did our standard drop Legion first, Legion into Scorn Signar would be fine. Trolls into Scorn Signar would be fine. Definitely not Kador. Kador can't deal with that Signar list.
But we don't know if that's what they're gonna drop. If we're
Right,
dropping
but
first, they could
I think
say
that's the
Crix,
question:
Crix.
is what would we drop first if we expected them to do Signar Scorn?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, yeah, Trolls Legion.
Yeah,
Our Trolls. Just drop me. I'd
just
be
drop
fine.
Trolls. Yeah, either Trolls or Legion, I think would be fine.
Yeah.
And I think
So let
even
me get this
Convergence
straight,
in there would be
'cause
fine too.
I'm slightly confused on the choosing order.
Yeah, it's the weird thing is that they're asking what we put into these 2 lists, and we don't get to pick what we put into it because we don't know that's what
Okay.
they're going to drop. That's the weird part of the question. So I think he's saying if we saw that these 2 lists were in their pair, and for some reason we thought they were going to get put together as like a drop that's a question, it's like who can answer these 2 together
Okay,
with
so
one list pair.
knowing that they're playing those casters, and factions,
Mhm.
who would be your solo first person to put out there to be?
I would probably pick Trolls first.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd
So-
be fine going out.
so he drops Legion. Scorn and Signar. So then, Ryan, you would get the choice, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
So
would
who
get
would
the
you pick?
choice, and then at that point, it's whether or not, if he feels confident enough beating Haley Double Stormwall or something like that, I would say you get that because we probably can figure out 2 things that can beat Scorn.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what do you pick, Ryan?
Well,
If
I mean,
it's
based
his
off,
choice, he wants Scorn, guaranteed.
Yeah, well, based off the rest of the team, though, like a double storm wall could be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I would
for
say he should
several
pick,
other matchups.
He
I'll take the
should
double
pick
storm wall.
Signar in regards to the rest of the team because the rest of the team can probably deal with 6 Titans. In somewhere
I
else.
want to pick
Kador
Scorn.
would be good against
Yeah,
six
because
Titans.
if he takes Signar, we just immediately drop Parker's Butcher 1 and then Scar 1 into that Scorn pair, and like he should just die.
Yeah, and I think I could probably beat double storm wall. Hate you, Haley. So,
Okay.
'Cause it
so
mainly-
you're taking Signar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to take Scorn, but I would take Signar.
Okay. Well, you have to pick one.
yeah,
yeah, I
well, he
think
just
he's
said he
taking
did.
Okay. Okay.
He's
Well,
saying
I'm
that
just
Scorn's
saying-
the better matchup for him, but
Mhm.
Signar's good enough that he would take that.
So you would pass on maybe an easier matchup to someone down the road
Because
or
Signar
down the line.
proves
Yeah.
problematic to
Okay,
other factions.
okay.
Yeah,
I think it gives us better lineups.
So then who's the next person on your team to put down knowing that one of the opponents is Scorn?
Well, we have to put.
well, the only opponent is Scorn now because he's left on the block. So then we
Oh, so
would
you-
put
that's
2
right, you would
lists
pick
into that
two-
Scorn
two
player.
people.
Yep.
And we would pick Parker and Max, is what we said, because
Okay.
we have. I think Crix
two
is just
infantry
strong
lists that will
against,
crush him. They
against
can do a
Scorn.
lot of damage.
And then Kador is also very strong. Versus that list, I think Kador is strong against that as well. Specifically the Butcher list that Parker's been playing lately, which is just all the angry things.
Okay.
Because like Bronzeback comes in and kills like, I don't know, 3 Nis Hunters and an Ulan and then explodes and then with like 3 models hitting
So
him.
then they would probably choose Kador
Do they have a Kador
to
matchup?
be paired.
Well, it depends on what. I don't remember what the other Scorn list was. If it was like a
Well, it depends.
Mordekar,
If
it might
they-
matter.
Yeah,
But
If
They're-
their other lists are weak to Crix at that point, then they may just say, well, we need to. Sorry, dude, you got to be sacrificed on this one. We need the Crix matchup gone because we can play other things well into the Kador, the Convergence, and whatever our last faction is Legion.
Yeah.
So
I
I
don't
mean,
think Scorn has a good Crix matchup, so I'm pretty sure they're going to pick.
it's
Kador.
definitely Mordekar.
Mordekar has a decent matchup. It really isn't bad,
He can make his stuff undead, and he can do some goofy
and he gets to
stuff.
revive
I know
a
that
lot of
he's the-
stuff.
I know he's
yeah.
a typical drop, but I still don't think he's good.
They have to definitely try to cover the matchup, which I assume is what the guy's doing.
Okay. So
It makes that matchup
gonna
good against
So
Lich. That's
Scorn
basically what it
into
does.
Kador
Yeah.
being Legion Convergence.
Do you want to know what's in their Legion Convergence list?
Sure.
Okay, so Legion, E-Abby, Scythian times 2, Seraph, Angel, and Support, E-Veil, Triple Ravagore, Double Angel, Scythian, Machinations of Shadow. I'm assuming that's a tier.
That's her tier, yeah.
Mhm.
And then the Convergence would be Axis Tier 4, and LeConte with Axiom and Burger, 2 Foundry, Obstructors, and Reductors. So you've got those forecasters against who would be left? Well, Crix.
Yeah,
So
Crix would
Crix
be
gets
left.
to pick into that.
So
I don't
you
know what
have
just happened.
you have Abby 2 and what was the other one? Veil.
Veil 2.
Veil 2 with 3 Ravagores is one of the people you get to pick against, and the other one is Convergence with
Axis
the
Tier.
Axis tier, and what was the other caster? Father.
LeConte, yeah, Axiom and Burger, 2 Foundries, Obstructor, Reductor.
I
I think you.
pick Scar 1 into all of those lists.
Yeah.
Legion doesn't
So would
like
you-
Scar 1. They don't have.
don't
They
have
can
quantity of
deny
attacks.
they can deny some of your area to move into with the Scathers, but they don't have enough attacks to take that list down.
And
most
eventually,
part.
the Helldivers will eventually get to where Veil is standing.
Or
and she has
or
to
if
survive
I'm
that
super
turn.
scared of Ravagores, the Helldivers become
Wreck markers.
14-15s that you have to shoot through to shoot Scar.
So
But
knowing
I
that
think you
Ryan
probably
picked-
choose Convergence because that would probably be better.
Oh, if I'm just choosing?
Yeah, you get to pick
Mother?
between those two. No, it's Father LeConte with an Axiom and an Inverter, and then Axis Tier 4 with 4 units of infantry.
I actually don't know what I like into that. Lich 2.
I think the Purges would make it super bad because he can't jam into you, which means you get all of the initiations. You can potentially.
I just have to literally
also,
kill too much shit. So I don't know that it's a great matchup against
just
Axis tier.
If you feed at the right time and get super deep with the feet, and you can put Bane Knights on his foundries, it can get super bad.
Yeah.
Like if you just take out 1 or 2 foundries, he can't nearly keep up with purges. The problem is you can't excarnate, so you have to walk and purge, but it's still fine.
Yeah, because they have to come into me. I mean, the list is melee or 6-inch range.
Right. And everything in the list is 12-14, so it dies easy. I've played the Axis list once, so I'm really bad with it, but it seems like it mostly just tries to death clock people. I don't respect it probably as much as I should, but I think it's a really strong skew, but I think it loses to things that mulch infantry because you just can't stay on the board.
Right. Yeah.
12 guys a turn, and if you know what you're doing, you just heavy load one side,
But if
and he'll only get 6 souls.
If I'm picking that, what am I picking our other list into?
No, so you would pick Convergence, which would leave Legion on the table, and then we would pick into Legion. So, and that
They'd
would
pick
leave,
the last 2 matchups.
right, and that's currently Convergence and Cody. Cody's still out there with Legion. So we have Legion and Convergence versus Legion. And what was their 5th pair? Richard?
Circle?
Trolls.
Trolls?
Trolls?
Trolls, which is runes, and then Calandra
Calandra theme.
EE with 11 beasts.
Yeah, so it's whatever they would pick into that. We have the Legion Double Veil and then Convergence with Mom and Pop.
I don't know. This is really hard to visualize.
It's hard to visualize because we didn't have anything written down. But I think unless they really want to do the Legion mirror, they would probably put... Well, I guess they would probably do the Legion mirror. I don't know. I'd be fine playing into... I've played into both of those troll matchups with Convergence and done fine. They're both really close games, but I think it's a game. I don't feel disadvantaged in it. Father of the Con can play against both of them, so I'm not in list chicken. The Legion mirror is interesting because he's got Abbey 2 as opposed to Veil 1. I think Veil 1 beats Abbey 2, so I don't know how they feel about that. I don't know if Veil 1 beats Veil 2, though. I honestly have no idea. I would think it'd be fine. Rampager sucks real bad if it gets hit anything. And Insight's really good.
That'd be a weird game.
That would be... I've never seen that game. Why haven't I not seen that game? Because it's always Veil 2, Veil 2. That's why.
Wouldn't you actually kind of like either of those conversions lists against Mother?
Playing against Mother?
With Mother against either of those conversions lists.
Well, but that's not my option. What do you mean?
Well, because you said I chose conversions, but would I necessarily
Oh,
choose
if you
conversions?
didn't, then we get to drop... Well, because then he probably just wouldn't take Convergence. But at the same time, Convergence... The Convergence mirror is weird when one of them has Mother and the other one doesn't, because backlash is a serious problem. So, like, Axis is inverted, stay in his deployment zone.
Well, and you also have domination.
Right, like, her backlash is a serious problem. You cannot let that shit go off.
LeComte can't deal with that.
That's kind of true.
He can't take your elimination servers plinking him.
That's true. Does she win that matchup? I never really thought about Convergence Mirror.
I mean...
What's he saying?
You have a lot of auto points in that matchup. I don't know.
Legion Mirror and Troll COC. So final pairing is Signar versus Legion, Scorn versus Kador, COC versus Crix, Legion Mirror, and Trolls versus COC. How does Taudark feel about this pairing? I'm curious, because I actually feel fine with that 5-man. I mean, I don't think we're advantaged in all of them, but I think I would like to see those games played. I don't feel like we lost as bad as we lost this one on paper.
Yeah.
We felt like we just lost that one.
It's because we've gone second in both of these. You need to roll better, Captain.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I feel like the Troll versus COC is a game. It's probably like a 55-45 matchup. It can go either way, but I feel like COC has strong tools.
Yeah, like knocking things
The Legion
down
mirror
with
is
Watcher.
just 100% a mirror. It depends on who's better at the faction. COC versus Crix. Lich 2 supposedly beats all COC because they
really
can't
beats
deal with
all of them.
Well,
Axis
Mother
is
is
actually
your.
a game. It's a lot of dudes to choose through. It really
It's not
is.
that many dudes. It's 40 dudes. That a lot of them come back, but if you just take turns overloading one side, I feel like you can deny him souls because if he misses a soul, he never gets it again. You start diminishing his army from the point he misses a soul. So I think that comes in really.
I
important.
almost think you could play
Not a
Scar
fan of
into
the
that and be
fist
fine.
drop, the first drop. He's saying they don't like the one we got first.
Signar Legion, yeah.
I think
Legion being ours.
I agree. I think it went well for us. Is he happy with the other 4?
Nothing yet. Hasn't written.
Because I don't know. I think I would
We're gonna
actually
play the shit out of the COC.
I would actually
matchup.
play the COC matchup. I'd be interesting. I need to play more against them. I actually don't know that Scar's that bad. I think you can just play your list a little bit differently in Vanguard with the Mechanothralls and keep recurring 6 a turn. It's not amazing, but that's 6 wasted attacks every turn for them. And then when they're on the front line, Dark Guidance plus 2 attacks means you lose 2 guys.
I
Every
think
every
the game
attack.
literally comes to death clock, so it's irrelevant. You literally have
Yeah.
to stay ahead on clock.
That's probably true.
Because I've seen a lot of Axis players that are good players just not make attacks because they're like, I'm going to win this game in 12 minutes. Go. And they're like, and then you run out of time. You can't win. You cannot achieve a win condition on the death clock because there's too many guys contesting the zone.
I have an idea. You just keep letting the Helldivers get closer to Axis, and then you feet.
Yeah, you
give
just
them
move
3. Game over.
The thing I think would be interesting is you play your Bane Knights almost like you play your Bile Thralls in Lich. You kind of do the stacked list like 3 by 3 or 4. And then just like, all right, you peeled off 3, and then it's like Vengeance, and I get a full unit activation into all your dudes. And sprays kill a lot of guys, but you're going to kill a lot of guys straight back. And if you ever eliminate a full unit with Lich, which it shouldn't be that hard between spells and sprays, I mean, he's going to, or unless he does the ultimate denial and just leaves him so far back, but then he's respawning outside of charge range, so you don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't actually know that I like. I need to play that matchup because that's what I would see. I would not get the other list.
No,
I
you
would
wouldn't.
see Axis.
Yeah.
I need to play that list.
The
I mean,
small convergence list.
Just makes me wish I could sideboard in Body and Soul and then say, ha 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 ha.
The obstructors and the reductors.
I mean, they're not terribly tough, are they?
No, they fucking
Yeah.
die in droves. They're like sub-victim stats.
Yeah.
But, 12 free ones every turn makes them more tolerable.
I mean, the instructors, get to 12, 17?
12, 18 under shield wall. They're 12, 14 base. But they never shield wall. It gives you too many targets. And you would never shield wall against Crix. You're like,
That's
here's
true,
all my
though.
guys.
I would
Like-
just play Lich. The more I think about it, because I'm not in any danger of them spell assassinating me, so I spend 6 focus every turn,
Just cloud.
putting clouds out and say, "Where are you gonna go? Oh, you didn't come here. I'm gonna walk up there."
Yeah. You gotta be careful about the reductors getting through the clouds, but still, it's so
Through
hard.
the clouds.
Like spraying through the clouds.
Oh.
But it's still, because they're 6-inch sprays and the thing's a 3-inch AoE, and they have to have a model in front of them to target, so it's really hard.
Yeah. So they have 3 inches.
They have like an inch
No,
into
they
the
have
cloud.
2 inches past the cloud.
Right. So you have to be careful. Don't run up a wall and put the clouds just in front of them. But
Well, just so you know, I can place the clouds further than I can. My army physically moves generally, so.
I think most of them are close games.
Yeah.
No, I don't think either side necessarily got great. Like, we should win 4 of these matchups, but yeah. But I think that's kind of what you're looking for. It's supposed to be competitive. You're not supposed to. It's not as much fun if one team's so good at picking
yeah.
matchups that we just got 4 super advantage matchups by giving you this 1 advantage matchup.
Mr. Taudark, are you going to the Killing Grill?
If so, I'm changing all my lists.
But more importantly, Tom is probably not going.
I know. I asked him if he wanted to be on our team. He never responded. Well, he said, maybe. When is it? And never responded after that. So.
Yeah, but now that there's a qualifier the same weekend.
Oh, yeah. He won't be
Yeah,
there.
he won't be there.
What other qualifiers going on?
The Feast of Blades was canceled due to issues. So they're making the Rocky Mountain Rumble the same weekend as Killing Girl. It was supposed to be in October. Now it's in July.
Otherwise, Brandon probably would have gone to that.
Otherwise, we probably would have been there.
Yeah.
The main thing I wanted to get out of this was that I would be okay taking Pete Gristle and Runes of War, and that I wouldn't have to take a troop shred list.
How do you feel about that so far?
Well, as long as I don't get, because I've been
What's your
thinking
Pete
about like
Gristle
the
list
match.
going to play into? It feels to me like you're
play
saying, I want to play runes every game.
He does because he likes armor schemes.
If I could, I would. but
what's your let's not even say dream matchup, because you're not going to get that. What's the matchup you're going to look for with Pete Gristle? Like, what would you try to drop it in?
You're like, man, runes would be awful right here, but Pete Gristle, that's my jam. Like, what matchup?
My thought is
not that, like, maybe even it's a situation where, because most of the time I feel like runes is so good that you want to drop it, and it's probably your better list than every drop. Not every time, but a lot of the time, and you can't play it every round. You can play it 4 times or whatever. I don't know how many rounds this is, 3 times, whatever. But you can't drop it every time. So what are you looking for to drop your Pete Gristle list against? And to clarify, we know you haven't selected specifically Pete Gristle, but for this exercise, we said you're playing Pete Gristle.
So my thought is this: like, if I go into like a regular tournament where like I really want to win and I take runes, then I know I have to take a troop shred, because the only thing I'm really like, I don't want to see weapon master spam. So then I take P-Gram, so then you cover the weapon master spam.
Right.
However, what happens is, let's say that I build for the boogeyman, and then you never play the boogeyman, and I play Signar, Legion, Scorn. Then at some point, I have to chop P-Gram into a situation that's not good and hope I can win the game. So that's the downside to taking a troop shred in runes. Or
I feel like you get unlucky, though, if you really don't hit Crix or Kador in one of 4 rounds.
right, but it could happen. So like in this scenario, since we're picking the matchups, if I can get rid of the boogeyman rather than taking 2 different lists that answer different things, and I can just guarantee I'm not playing the boogeyman, then I want to take the 2 best lists that I know how to play, even if they do kind of the same thing, but they have game against almost everything except for Crix. So that's my P. Gristle list. I think it has game against anything. I can play it against Legion, I can play it against Signar, I can play it against...
Well, let's just...
anything.
It's hypothetical, but, like, what if you keep getting dropped into, and I know this is because we talked about this on GroupMe earlier, but what if you run into double Colossalists every round?
Then
Does
I'm
P.
fine.
Gristle ever get played?
Well,
can she play into that? Is basically my question.
P. Gristle can, because between Calamity and other damage buffs in the faction, and get her giving an extra attack to models, she can get like if he was running champs with 3 attacks apiece at like POW, like 15 or 16 weapon masters can easily get through most Colossals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, P. Gristle champs that have a +6 armor swing and 3 attacks apiece.
Do you have champs in that list?
He dropped them for Long Riders, which Long Riders also hit like fucking trucks, but...
Yeah, the reason I drop them for Lawn Riders is it gives me more flexibility, because the Lawn Riders gives me game against, like...
Because if you actually land Calamity, Charge of the Trolls, and you put the Pyre Troll Animus on them, they're +6 even on their impact attacks. So their impact attacks are POW 20. Then they get their POW 20 charge, and then they get an offhand attack that's POW 18. And then they get back up 5 inches on the feed turn.
Plus,
or 7 inches.
I took the Impaler out and I put a Storm Troll in, so then if it's like, even against Weapon Master spam, I don't feel that uncomfortable, because the Lawn Riders will just take a fucking unit easily.
What are you talking about, Ryan? All the Weapon Masters will be dead because you have 2 units of Fire Eaters, and they're all going to die.
Well, that too. You can yo-yo Fire Eaters. The Lawn Riders are going to
kill, so you actually have a Storm Troll in there now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that much better then, because I can see where that actually shreds infantry. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Lawn Riders kill everything with the Storm Troll Animus.
Right, because you get 3 attacks that proc it.
Yeah, and the thing about Fire Eaters too is, they kill Weapon Masters, but I've also played against Legion with that list, and I've had 3 Fire Eaters kill a heavy before I even got to the 3rd Fire Eater with the Calamity on it.
Because Fire Eaters are broken.
They are, especially when you can yo-yo them. So basically, I decided that rather than take a list I really don't want to play, but I'll play for the boogeyman. I think it's better if you guys can just keep me out of the boogeyman cricks, then I'll play against everything else, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Butcher 2?
Yeah, both my lists answer.
Runes answers Butcher 2.
Oh, I thought you meant Butcher 3.
No,
Butcher
Butcher 2.
3 I'm fine with. Even Butcher 2, though, P. Gristle,
I think it's a
I
game.
don't feel
yeah, for
awful.
sure. And that's really all you should
So-
really hope for. If all 5 of your people have the opportunity to win their game based on skill, that's really what you're looking for anyway.
Right.
Because the best
Yeah,
people
we
are
talked-
probably going to win anyway.
Right, you're talking about E. Kruger. I said, well, I don't want to see E. Kruger and Druids. Well, I would probably drop P. Gristle into that, honestly. Because, I mean, she's got game against anything in Circle, as far as I'm concerned, unless it's like E. Morvana, maybe,
Could
or
probably actually
Bradigus.
do okay against World War.
I don't know, I'd have to play that.
You
I'm
could
not for
probably
sure.
take the Alpha okay. Do you have a jam unit?
No, I have Lawn Riders, 2 units of warders, 2 Fire
Oh, 2
Eaters,
warders.
full stone.
It probably takes him a turn or two to get rid of all the warders. So if you do a nice turtle shell of warders, he can probably eat through those.
Yeah.
And then long riders.
The main reason I'm worried about Cricks is because if they have like Body and Soul and then 30 Bane Knights, I pretty much have to drop runes because Body and Soul, I'll get my Lawn Riders pursued. Well, there's 11 points gone.
But does he play?
Yeah.
Then that's seriously a list chicken matchup though, because he's sitting there going, I cannot play Body and Soul into runes.
Why?
Can he?
I think he's still. I
that
think he's still fine.
Then you definitely have to.
It's
drop
a-
it.
He has,
game.
he has the scenario game against runes.
It's a
Big
game.
time.
I think he does drop Body and Soul because then if I screw up and drop P. Gristle, then I lose.
That's true. So yeah, you have to play runes.
Yeah, and
But,
if I
It probably also
The
depends
thing
on the
is
scenario.
that you generally will have enough things to deal with the rune shapers that get into the zone, and it's really, really easy to move a couple heavies out of the zone.
So in
right, basically is. Go ahead. Sorry.
Eden Agra's theme,
Body and Soul.
Body and Soul. How many upkeep spells can she precast, basically?
3.
Three. She has 3 offensive
three of
upkeeps that go
Well, he
out.
has purification, so
But he
it's
gets
relevant.
he purifies it off.
Right.
So it's
He
no
also
big-
has
I
banishing
activate
word.
them after
It's
that.
like, why do you have both banishing word and purification?
Well, that's the thing about it is if I can keep scenario away from Denegra and I put Banishing Word on Mulg, I don't know if she kills that in that game.
But that's the thing is you have to keep a scenario away from her, and I think she can just
Yeah.
just keep Mulg away.
It
Because
depends on the scenario.
Mulg is your magical weapon in that matchup, other
Yep.
than spells, obviously.
Ghost Chaser.
That's true.
Big Ghost Chaser, because that thing's always going to be maxed
But-
out.
But rune
Yep.
shapers aren't a big deal because if they're within 14 inches,
Right.
they can't target her because they can't move, and she can just teleport Mulg away. It's not a spell. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't be crazy about it. So
Yeah.
basically, coming back to what I was saying is I could build the Peak Rim list, but then with the way the matchups work up, if all of a sudden... Then I have to build a Peak Rim list that can also deal with Body and Soul, which means I have to throw a Throg in it. And now I'm like skewing for a boogeyman I may not see. Well, if you could just guarantee to keep me out of cricks, well then I'll just play Peak
Which we
Rim
can
runes,
do,
and then
'cause it's a
I'll
team
play
card.
whatever. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Is Divide and Conquer in this at all?
Yes.
Yes, it should be Divine Conquer 1.
I wish it wasn't. I just
One of
play
our
fucking
lists that
runes all
drop
day.
into Bradigus. We only need 2. We don't need to.
The problem is we need 2, and we need that same list to be able to beat Kruger and Morvana 2. That's the problem with Circle right now. You almost have to just say someone's going to fall on the fucking sword.
Well, you can. I put
I
runes
think
against any of
P-Scar
that.
has a game against all 3 of those.
I think Runes does too.
I think Runes does too. I
Yep.
think. So if we can put you and Ryan into that matchup, that's fine. Anything else, I feel like they're just going to be able to pick their way out of. So against a Circle player, we have to be able to hold both of you to do that.
Yeah, unless we can look at the matchups and say, you know what, if we just throw them a loss, but that's going to make sure the rest of our matchups are so good, then we just waste one of our...
Yeah, I mean that's a situation where you say, if we say, okay, and it's not even specifically saying that this is it. If we say Cody or Parker, whoever, this is a awful fucking matchup for them. Like, we're talking 20%er for them to go in there and try to Hail Mary an assassination or something like that. Maybe you put that in there and you say, now this screws up everything else for them, and now we have 4 advantage matchups. I mean, that's, you gotta...
Yeah. Yeah, that could happen.
Which is what I was saying, at the beginning, like purposely do that.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely an option. It just makes it so much easier to do, like, for real than in just conjecture and...
That's why at some point me and Ryan and hopefully everybody will get a chance to get together and we'll make up some more of these fake pairings and we'll just go through, we'll just pick one of the sets and do it like 3 or 4 times, trying to do different things each time to get different matchups, and we'll just see and we'll just try and get so much experience with it that we can recognize those situations more often.
The thing about it is going second will be a huge advantage because
it will be.
When it comes to deciding tables, that's a big advantage. But then on top of that, I really don't care what table I get because
unless there's just a huge hill on your side.
Yes, yeah. If I see a huge hill,
Fuck me, hills.
Janessa with a wall on a hill is pretty funny. But I mean, outside of that, I could just say you guys pick the best tables because I'm going to put out fucking 2 walls anyways in zones, and that's all I care about. So I think going second, if we can, obviously, would be the biggest. But
yeah.
Well, I think anytime it's basically going to be whoever wins is going to pick to go second because picking 2 matchups and the tables is probably too powerful.
3 matchups, isn't it?
So what you're saying is you want me to set up the tables?
No. Fucking what's his name? Carl will have good enough time doing that. He's like, let's see, a 12-inch forest next to a building and a wall. Go. Like, god damn it.
Well,
so maybe
can't be
that's
any worse than the 12-inch. Woods in the center of the table.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So maybe that's a better thought exercise is to think about who's everyone's boogeyman and make sure that we don't have the same one.
I don't think we need to look at it as in who you want to avoid that much, really.
I think you really need to get a list that you're really comfortable with, and then see how many of those you already have, and then try and determine.
I need to get that list. What's that list from, Jeremy? The one I'm really comfortable with.
Butcher 2?
It's probably still Sorsha 2. I played that list more than anything I think I've ever played.
Butcher 2, Sorsha 2. Go.
I could play that. I don't think it'd be good.
Scares the shit out of the Runes player.
Apparently. It's unstoppable.
I can't stand Kador and I can't stand Fricks.
You're just jealous of my amazing skills by playing Karchev with double Avalancher and winning.
What? Literally, your Kador pairing to me is like one of the worst things to see because remember I was talking about taking P Grim and Runes?
Yeah.
So it's like, do I drop P Grim and then he drops Karchev and I stare at it? Or do I drop Runes and then I face 30 Doom Reavers and I stare at it? Either way, it's like, oops.
But that's just list chicken because one of those is not necessarily good for him either.
I'm just too good at reading Ryan and he has no idea how to read me, so I always drop it right. And he's like, damn it!
No, I think we specifically played Doom Reavers on purpose.
We did that time.
Just to see how bad it was.
Still one of our highest viewed videos.
I think it is still our most. Jason Watt overtook you for a short period of time.
I think that's still higher.
And then that Morvana 2 game where you killed yourself, that game had a lot of views for some reason.
Where you had the game just won.
Yeah, so like I just declare melee attack and win.
Oh, I was so excited to see if I cut myself to death that I didn't even see it.
What are you doing? You attack the knockdown
Your mind's
guy,
out, but if you attack that knockdown guy...
and then you attack my caster, who is then knocked down at dice +6, so you just keep buying attacks. This is a good game.
Alright.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah, I need to crash. I need to go to
Just
sleep.
take 6 Ambien for me, Ryan.
I have to go to bed
Yeah, will do.
tomorrow. Ryan, what am I playing tomorrow?
What's your options?
Everything but Lich 2.
And Bay Knights. No Bay Knights.
I can play at least one unit of Bay Knights.
Play Body and Soul.
I have that.
He's played that a lot, too.
Yeah, play Body and Soul. And
But I'm not necessarily playing to win this tournament. I'm just playing... This one's more for fun for me.
It is
Okay,
ADR,
well then
so if
play-
there's some ADR you wanted to try, now would be the time.
Play Venithrax. and then
He's not on ADR yet.
Play Retribution.
Oh,
If you're not playing your ADR or your Killing Girl pair, you might as well play Red because you've been wanting to play him lately.
But I don't have any.
yeah, play
experience.
Ron. Give me some pointers.
Yeah, play Ron, master it in a game. And
Play
then tell us.
Ron. All right, I'm playing Ron.
Nice.
All right, yeah, give me some pointers.
Okay.
All right, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I would like to say that Spence, Parker, and Cody can go die in a fire. And this has been Brandon.
Max, Age Vegas on the forum. Come visit me on DACA. Talk a lot of shit, please, and I might ban you.
Specifically about how you're going to murder someone's sister because they said something on a forum.
This
Eldar
has been Jeremy.
sucks. I'm gonna kill you and burn your house down.
You can't say that.
This is Jeremy, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
Hey, that joke is more gettable because they can see us.
This is Richard, and I know what to do with my hands.
Ooh.
It's also the one without pants.
Yeah, this is the pants-isode. Know that because next time, no pants. This was your one morning.
Whoa, Max.
Whoa,
Charge
whoa,
for that.
this is the pants-isode.
Fixing my belt, guys.
Okay.
They have to pay extra for that.
Is Ryan signed out yet?
Kicked off Twitch.
No, and this is Ryan.
Oh, damn it. I was going to cut it off for you. Damn it. I missed my opportunity.